Oh, man.
Silly, man. Okay, so I have a question for y'all. I don't want to go into trying to get how I reached this question in my mind, but it's a question that I thought of earlier this week or last week. And the question is, if you or if any of you were to offer, let's say, a homeless person a grocery gift card, a car, a home, all these things just out of your own pockets. Let's say we all had the means to do so, and you decided to do it, and you received no thanks, no sense of gratitude from them whatsoever. Would you regret doing it? Would there be any part of you that would feel you had done it a different way or regret doing it at all or anything like that?
For that particular situation, no.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you got to look at it as the blessing is just in your actions. You can't always... Gratitude is nice. You don't want to be robbed of it.
Sure.
From not getting a thank you, but sometimes you gotta swallow that one, you know. That's just my thought on it.
Okay.
With that particular situation.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been in situations like that where it's kind of like they might not be in their best faculties.
Yeah.
To even say thank you.
Gotcha.
You hand them something and they might be grateful. They might look at you. I've had dudes give me a nod. They shake my hand, things like that. But yeah, if you don't get a thank you, sometimes it's just you got to look at it as I'm grateful for the fact that I was able to do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just kind of leave it at that.
Yeah.
I mean, my father gave a homeless guy a quarter one time, and he just threw it on the ground. Now, see, that is a problem. He wanted some paper money. He didn't want a quarter.
Right.
You know, so that to me, if you give me more of a demonstration of this,
Right.
demonstration,
Demonstration.
then I will have a problem. But if somebody forgets to say thank you, sometimes you have to assume that they might be high out of their mind, dude, and don't even know that you hardly know that you did it. So that's my thing.
Okay, so what about things like, well, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't want to jump ahead of y'all's answer.
No, you good. Go.
No, I mean, I think I feel the same way I would, right? I don't think I would, not doing it for the thanks necessarily. You just want to help the person.
Yeah.
And you don't know what state of mind they're in. You don't know if they might have something else going on where they're in a depression or something like that and just aren't in the right mind to say something back, you know? So.
Concur.
Same?
Yeah.
Okay, so then let me play devil's advocate a little bit. What if you were perfectly aware that they were in their right mind and had all of their faculties and wits about them, and they just decided not to say thank you intentionally, just like, well, you know, you saw me homeless and you got the money, so why didn't you do it? Or why wouldn't you, you know?
No, it's like an expectation, entitlement.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's hard, man. I mean, we're all human. We can all be in these situations, so I don't know. Some people are angry at their situation. It's not your fault. They're not mad at you. You know, so you got to kind of, I don't know, man. You got to kind of play it case by case. I would say. It's hard to say. You know, I have to see that man or that woman, and kind of go from there. You know, most the people I've ever given to in those situations are always very appreciative. So I haven't really experienced that. But if I did, I'd have to evaluate it at that moment.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. I noticed that a lot of people, it's almost to the point where it's like a meme now, where you see people talking about opening the door for somebody that's walking in behind them. You know, you're walking into the mall or something, you open the door and you hold it for the next person, and they walk by without a thank you. People get really upset when people don't say thank you.
That's happened to me many times.
Yeah, same.
Holding the door and people just walk through it. I'm like,
yeah.
I mean,
it's odd because it's we were raised with a certain, you know, appreciation for good manners.
Yeah.
But everybody is not, you know, everybody doesn't hold to that same thing. Yeah. And so I started thinking, and I can't even remember what part of this book that I'm reading that made me think of this particular question. But basically, I'm thinking of the importance of being kind, loving, and generous for the specific sake of being kind, loving, and generous, versus whatever the return may be. You know, if I'm able to add value or to increase the happiness in somebody else's life. I'm not doing it because I want them to appreciate me. I'm doing it because I understand that I have this ability to add to you, and it's not going to take anything away from me. It's not hurting me, and so I do that for the reason that I'm able, specifically just for the reason because I'm able to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that I always look at those kind of with my eyebrow raised whenever I see people. Like I've seen people make statues about it. Like, can y'all believe I just walked in Popeye's Chicken and this guy didn't say thank you when I held the door? And I'm like, you mad about that? Like, I understand it's definitely a weird feeling. Don't get me wrong. It's weird to experience that where somebody just walks past and doesn't even acknowledge you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe it's just me. I'm the type, it rolls right off my back. It doesn't even, it registers for 1 second like, that's strange. But I'm not gonna be upset about it because I didn't do it for the thank you. I did it because I knew that I could take an extra second and let you come in the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so go ahead.
No, what were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
No, the kind of person that goes around chasing thank yous for things like that, that's problematic in and of itself. Right?
Exactly.
That's what I was gonna say.
Exactly.
If you have time to type that on Facebook,
Yeah.
you don't deserve a thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because they're probably
You're
going
already-
around and doing all kind of stuff where the only thing they're looking for is to be appreciated or to be acknowledged in some way. You know what I mean? So if that's what you're after, then that's going to show. That's going to be the kind of person that gets upset by it.
Sure.
Like I said, if you're trying to show like the best side of humanity and show people love and again, just that, everybody isn't, just evil and mean and malicious or whatever, then that's
selfish.
Or selfish,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's about managing your expectations, right?
Yeah,
It's just like you want to do it for the sake of doing something nice for people for that reason, and that's it,
Gotcha. Yeah, so I agree. Jim Carrey has this quote where he says, imagine being a homeless person, and I hope I get this right. Imagine being a homeless person and a person comes up and hands you a sandwich with a camera in your face, and you have to take the sandwich because you're so hungry. But you're humiliated at the same time because they're like live on Facebook or whatever. He's like, if you think about things from the perspective of the person that's receiving, especially a person that's really in need, if you think about things from their perspective, we'll be a lot less likely to want to broadcast the small good things or even the big good things that we do. Do good for the sake of doing good, not for the sake of likes and comments and shares and, pats on the back. You know what I mean?
I was literally just sitting there thinking that. Like right before you mentioned Jim Carrey, I was going to do this. Hey everybody, we're here live. I had this dollar out to my man.
Right. Yeah, that's wild.
But see, that goes again to the technology, man, and what it's done to our minds.
Yes.
It's messed up our mind chemistry. So we do things with an expectation of some type of recognition when this is just human decency.
Yeah.
Like exercising humanity doesn't deserve reward.
Right.
So it goes back to what you're saying. Like it might slip your mind. I've been in some situations, man, where I've held the door for certain people and they didn't say thank you, and I'm like, I know why they didn't because they come from a different era. Yeah. There's some entitlement there.
Yeah.
I get infuriated, but I'm never gonna post it. Nobody would ever know.
Right.
I was upset about it.
Right.
But we're in a time where everything, every thought, every movement is recorded. And there's an expectation that there should be some type of recognition or gratitude for that.
Yeah.
It's like most of the stuff we do in life, nobody's ever going to know about it.
Right.
Especially things of meaning.
Yeah.
Nobody should even know about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Except for the person that is on the receiving end. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then you know for yourself that's just between you and that person, and then they appreciate it, man. Things I've done for people like that. I never even mentioned, look at them, look down. Because you have to even be careful of your body language and your gesture, not to look down on them. You hand it to them. I've had brothers stand up and shake my hand and say thank you, you know. And it's like, we're all humans, man. We're all existing here. And I think some people in certain circles and certain mindsets, they just forget that.
Yeah.
And there's this whole other thing they got going on, chemistry-wise in their brain, that suggests to them there should be more for their actions. It's like, there shouldn't be.
Right.
Dude, this is nothing what you're doing. I mean, this is nothing. It's a gesture of kindness.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I just want to throw that out there. We can switch topics. I just wanted to get y'all's input on that.
I got an interesting topic. It's more of a topic today of so Michael B. Jordan he's doing, of course, circulation this week for his press release for Creed.
Yeah.
And he runs into this
girl from his high school.
From high school. and he was like, "Oh yeah, you remember me, the corny guy? I'm the corny guy."
Yeah.
It was awesome exchange because it's like, he the man now, and she kind of just doing that. But the topic that comes out of it is who gets to determine who's corny. That's my thing.
What you mean?
So because I watched more of it because it was on the Breakfast Club. They talked about it more in detail.
Okay.
And the girl, like when Michael B. Jordan was a kid in high school, he would bring his headshot. Like when you going to do an audition, he would bring that to school and walk around with it and tell people I'm gonna be in Hollywood, and they were like,
corny.
Yeah, they were like, you corny, and they were clowning him because they were like, his name's Michael Jordan. He's far from a Michael Jordan,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So they were giving the kid a hard time,
right?
But see, Michael B. Jordan remembered it though, because I think it was probably a little worse than what we know,
right?
But the thing is like it comes down. It was also almost becomes a discussion of bullying. You know what I'm saying? And when people can't see your dreams and they just kind of clown you. I mean that might be a little corny, like him walking around with a headshot. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe shortly after that he did end up on The Wire. You know what I'm saying? But it was a good discussion about like what is corny to people. Because see, what's corny to some people, I think it's subjective. What's corny to somebody may not be corny to you.
Sure.
Like I admire a guy that is focused on his dream.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It may look, some of the stuff he does may look extreme and look kind of goofy. But the thing is like he's dedicated and look where he's at.
Yeah.
And that's the story for many.
Yeah.
And then the people that are bullying you, they ultimately end up being the corny ones.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was just a good discussion, man. It was a good thought behind it, because I think we're in a time where, especially with social media again, we can't escape that. You have this you got this thing where more bullies are on the rise. You got Facebook bullies, Instagram bullies, people that want to sit behind the keyboard and bully and criticize and kill people's dreams. This is like we're fostering that and nurturing that behavior, like it's a virtue, like we're normalizing it in a way that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so that exchange between him and that girl kind of brought that out a little bit, because it sounds like, because at the end of that interview, and she was like, and he's not corny anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so he ignored it and kept going.
Right.
This is like, wow, you still gonna call my man out?
Right.
This guy's a major success now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's when that's when the bully becomes, they're like on the back end, like the inner side of it.
Right. And that happens almost every time.
Yeah.
At the end of, like, I know.
Like McFly from Back to the
Right.
The guys that they just end up.
What was his name? Boff?
Biff.
Yeah, Biff.
Yeah. Biff kept picking on him. It's like,
Wow.
So yeah, that I thought that was just an interesting, discussion that was being had today, just in general, based on that little clip. So.
Yeah. I enjoyed watching that little exchange just because of how you could tell he was looking. I don't know. I think he was being what people might call shady, I guess. I don't know really.
Yeah, shady.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, it's me. Remember I was corny back then.
Yeah. He played it cool though.
Yeah.
He played it cool because he was kind of like, I remember you.
Yeah.
Because she was like, you remember, we go way back. We went to school together. He's like, I remember you. I'm the corny dude, right?
Yeah.
It was cool. So for y'all, were y'all cool, corny? Did y'all get picked on, or were y'all bullies?
I had levels.
Really?
Yeah, I had levels. So like where I grew up was multicultural. So I had Romanians, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, blacks. We had it all, man.
Yeah.
My Southwest Detroit had it all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was always cool with everybody, right? But when it came to my own hood, they would think that I'm lame. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I was like a minority in my own right in my neighborhood, because I was like the only house that had my mother and father in the house, right? Mostly all the cats,
Same here.
they didn't have, a lot of them. So in my own right, or I guess in our own right, me and my brothers and sisters, and we were like a minority in itself in that regard, right? And for some reason, that was, I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody. Maybe that's a form of weakness. You know what I'm saying? Maybe because, it's just sad that that's the norm. That, or having a family, a mother and father, like in the house and raised, was not the norm. You know what I'm saying? In my neighborhood. So it's those levels that you reach. I didn't get talked about or not. They respected me, but they didn't like it at the same time. You can tell.
Oh, I know.
But it's like,
exactly
it's so weird. It's like a weird situation. It's like, it's like some people may have wanted what I had, but they didn't
know how to express it.
They didn't know how to express it, right? You know what I'm saying? But I think how they would express it is through anger. You know what I mean? But they respected it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember, I'll never forget this
toxic response to it.
Yeah, it's the same as when you like a girl, but you pick on her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this girl that I used to talk to in the hood, man, she was at the time, man, she was real hood, man. You know what I'm saying? She actually turned out to be a outstanding woman now, right? We used to hang out and stuff, whatever, and she was like, man, the guys in the hood, they said they think you lame. Why you hanging around that lame dude?
She let you have
I was like, she let me have it. No, but she was like, no, he's cool. He listen to jazz music. He does this. Like, she really had my back, right?
Yeah.
She was like, what you see is not what you get. You see what I'm saying? Like, you may see this type of guy, but once you get to know him, man, this cat is on point, right? You know, and that's how it always was with me. People thought I was stuck up in high school too, but no, I just kept my eyes straight. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know how cats used to hang on the second floor in high school?
Yeah.
It was always a spot in high school that everybody used to corral around, right?
Yeah.
I was never there.
Yeah.
I would always walk past, man. They'd be like, Ethan, come in, man. You know, I'd be like, no, I'm cool. You know?
I know that spot. Them hangouts, the locker room type spots and stuff.
Yeah, man. Yep. But it's kind of those levels or whatnot, man. I was never bullied. Well, I was bullied probably in middle school one time, but then I shot up like 6 I shot up like 6 inches, like over a summer, man. I didn't get messed with anymore, man.
Okay. Yeah, I love that, man.
A few fights I got into in elementary school and in middle school. I got into some fights, man. Definitely, man. Yeah, man. I had to hold my own for a little bit. And the thing is, like, I was never a fighter. But you provoked me, and I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? And then I had to do something because guess what? You gonna let him talk to you like that?
Right. You gonna let him go.
That always happens.
Always happens.
They're gonna think that everybody be like, ooh. After one person say something,
they said, "What about your mom?" Yeah, man.
Dudes, it'd be always that calm dude. Be like, "You gonna let my man talk?"
Right.
He be real calm. You gonna let my man front you like that?
That dude.
That's the guy that puts you. Then you get up like,
right. You know what? I'm not gonna let him talk to you like that.
No, think about it.
It's like right before you get into a fight like that with a bully or whatever, you always hear sirens like.
You're right.
Bully culture was different back then. We were built different than what's going on now. Like everything's just so much weaker. You know what I'm saying? Because my story is really the same as yours. Yeah, everybody, you know, because I had dudes choose me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was kind of short and I was always chubby. So you got dudes that choose you. But then when they see like I was pretty quick with the tongue. Like, you know, we used to call it capping.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like I could cap a little bit. Then they leave you alone, you know. But for me, I wasn't really bullied. You had a couple of dudes choose you, and I was so cool. I was just ended up being cool with them. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I just I ended up really, like my gifts, like with drawing and stuff, people really took to me that way. Because when people find you have something different that they like, you automatically become popular. You know, and then when they see, like you said, that you're something that you're not, like me, I mean, I'm always totally like not what people expect. You know, because people always, like, even my own grandmother, my grandma Boss, she was like, I always thought you were shy, you know, and things like that. And I'm like, everybody thinks that. Everybody looks at, because I don't know if it's just my appearance, but everybody thinks I'm shy and kind of a shut-in, and then it's like, I'm the exact opposite. I mean, and I'm the exact opposite on an exceeding level, like an extreme level, and it's always a pleasant surprise. You know, and nobody really will know that about you except for your closest people, you know. But
how do you get to that point? Like when as you growing up and like we already know what creates a bully. You know, it's circumstances, it's home upbringing, you know, punishment and whatnot.
Their conditions, their conditions.
But from your side or whatnot, and I guess avoiding being bullied and different things like that. But what causes a child to get to that level to where you were at? Where, you know what I'm saying, like
unbullied? No, I'm asking. You talking about me or the bully?
No, you. Not like you. Like, you know, because you said that you, from another level, you said you are totally not what other people.
It's the same.
It's
environment.
It's the same environment.
If your parents if your parents cultivate an environment of confidence and love and attention, you know, enough attention, And although if you grew up in a more positive environment, you're more likely to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. You know
That's all it is. Because my pop, man, he would always. Because, I mean, I came home in elementary school crying a few times. Some dude picked on me or something. Come home with my glasses crooked. Like, something like that. And then he would, grab me and say, pull yourself together, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you a smart, you a good-looking kid. You look like me. Stuff like that. Right. And that's all. He only had to tell me that one time. And when he told me that, you go to school the next day, and the dude that trying to call you out, you used to be like, I got your number.
Yeah.
And that's how I would be.
But see, another
that's
point
what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. One of the significant points in that story is the respect that you have for your father, because there are some fathers that'll say, "You look like me," and the kid be like, "Ah!" You know what I mean?
Right. That's very true.
But you have respect and love for your father, which greatly increases your confidence when your father says something to you like that.
It does. He's always been my hero, and that is where I get a lot of my confidence just in how I move. Mm-hmm. And so for me, going to school, because like you said, it's an evolution. Because you always get people that try and choose you, boys and girls. Yes. And girls trying to pick on you. I'm like, I'm not going to let no girl. But they'll pick on you too. So you got to, like, okay, what position do I want to take? And then as a kid, you have to develop very young, like, how do I see myself? Because I never really saw myself.
Interesting.
I'm not gonna get bullied. Like I'll do whatever it takes. Like, so for me,
I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, I got like that. So my thing is, I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a clown, and I make people laugh.
Okay.
And what happened was, like, so at the start of a school year, I get in the classroom, you could read the room right away. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that's a bully.
That's
insecure.
So crazy. That's so true.
Yeah, you'd be like, that's bully, that's insecure, that's a hurt home. I would do that junk, and I would always sit in front of the class. I always sat in front of the class. So for me, I already exuded just a confident way about myself. I didn't maybe always look confident, but I always exuded something of confidence where people didn't know how to read me, and they wasn't gonna mess with me. But that came with, how do I see myself? How do I want to see myself? Yeah. And once you do that, and you have to always recalibrate that through life. Even now, you got to be like, how do I see myself? How do I want to see myself? How do I want to be treated? Once you do that, you see how many people are actually insecure, even the bullies. They're extremely insecure. Like, like, all you got to do is, like, because for dudes in school, it's always their haircuts. So it's like, they be like, look at my man's forehead. I bet, but look at your lineup. Right. Like, they sit there like, you got me. It'd be a bully. And when, they'd be ready to fight you at the school. But when you could get louder than them, then they kind of back off. Because they see, oh, you can get with them. That's all it takes, man. I mean, so for me, bullying wasn't a problem. I was always cool with everybody. The men and the women. I knew how to get along with the girls, get along with the fellas, had respect like that. And you keep practicing that, and that's who you become in life. And then you move like that in life. So, sorry, awesome. Fellas, we got to hear from y'all. We didn't talk too much.
You're good. You're good.
Go ahead, man.
G was a Mac. No.
right. From the time he was born.
right.
He stepped out the womb. Like,
he came out with that. Right. Ladies up
with the fish in him.
Right.
All right, so.
Huggy Bear.
Right.
So, growing up, I always went to relatively small schools. My graduating class in 8th grade was like 15 people, something like that.
Okay.
High school, I think it was less than 100. So it was always especially throughout elementary and middle school, it was a much more intimate size of our class. And so we didn't have a whole lot of, there was bullying, but the bullying in my experience was more around the girl. Like, the girls were bullying each other way more than the guys were.
Yeah. East side?
No, no. I went to. Well, I'm not gonna say the name of the school,
but I was gonna say the East Side girls. Yeah, they like
that. Right. No, but so I didn't get bullied much. Actually, I didn't get bullied at all throughout school. But every now and then, somebody would say, "So here's the thing." My parents did not spend money on Jordans, or I didn't have none of that.
Yeah, we was easy pickings.
Yeah. I was in 9th, 10th grade before I got my first like actual pair of shoes that I wanted. Like, they would buy Nikes, but they would be like the Walmart Nikes, the ones that like your dad wear while he cutting the grass type of Nikes. Yeah. So I'd be like, I got Nikes, but they're not.
The swoosh is there.
Right. It's a swoosh, but it's in the back on But anyway. So every now and then, you know, somebody would have a comment about that or whatever, but it would, you know, go into some like a riff or whatever, because I'm quick with it too.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it would hurt my feelings a little bit, and then sometimes I just get right back with them. Mm-hmm. But it was never anything where it was like a persistent bullying. I never got beat up or none of that in school. Most of my fights that I've ever been in were at like in my neighborhood. I don't know if I think I've been in maybe 2 fights in school ever. Mm-hmm. Most of the fights that I've been in were. Is that right? So I've been in a lot of altercations, but not fights in school. I've been in a lot of fights outside of school in the neighborhood and all that. But anyway, so then in high school, so I think I mentioned to y'all, high school was the first time that I was ever in school with anybody that wasn't black. In 9th grade, there was one guy, it was a white guy that tried me. Mm-hmm. And the first time he tried me, I wasn't sure how to react. So I was kind of like, I kind of fell back a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then he tried me again about a week or so after, and I got with him. I'm not going to really go into it. It was physical, but I got with him. And that was the only time I was ever bullied in high school. Now there were, as with any group of kids, there was a hierarchy, of course, because you got the people who are, you know, the type of people who win prom king, you know, the prom king, prom queen, those type of people. Mm-hmm. Then you have, you know, so there's always a pecking order.
It is always.
Always a pecking order in pretty much any gathering of people, but especially with kids. Mm-hmm. And so there was always that. And I kind of was up and down between it, depending on where I was mentally and emotionally at the time. But you know, thankfully, but one thing that I'm glad about is I didn't do too much bullying either. Mm-hmm. There was sometimes where I would, you know, laugh a little bit too hard at the jokes or, you know, whatever. Somebody might get picked on a little bit more than everybody else, and I might have, you know, get engaged in that, laughing a little bit more than I would like to, looking back on it. But I was never a bully, and I didn't really get bullied. So that was kind of my experience. What about you?
Uneventful. Same thing, like my parents didn't really spend money on like clothes and shoes and stuff like that. So yeah, in elementary school, you always got somebody who got something to say.
Right.
Probably only got bullied by probably a little bit like in 5th grade maybe. Just like a couple of guys. Like one of the guys actually was my best friend until some other dude like moved in or whatever, and they were like right down the street from each other or whatever, and they got cool. And then it's like they started like just because they were both bigger than me too, you know what I mean? So I was shorter then, and they would like talk junk a lot. It wasn't like no bullying, like they would like beat me up and all like that. I was still cool with them. They just like was talking junk all the time or whatever.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
And then after that, man, it's like elementary. That was elementary school, middle school, and high school. Moved out to an area that wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of minorities out there, so it was always something around that. You know, you had a lot of racial incidents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Threats, bring the Klan, threats of getting you know, jumped by all the skinheads or whatever after school. So stuff like that, but it never materialized anything. That's worth discussing. It'd be some arguments, it'd be some discussions like that, but that's about it. You know, so I wasn't as, this is something I've tried to talk to my boys about a lot too. I wasn't as secure when I was younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of the things I hate looking back on my childhood is how much I acted like people around me to fit in. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
And I've tried to tell my boys to really think for themselves more so, because most of the regrets I have is just me trying to live up to somebody else's standard and not to who I was. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how that carries over into adulthood for a lot of us and a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. My dad, he broke me from that. I was like in 3rd grade, and I remember this very vividly because it always stuck with me. I told my wife about it. I didn't really talk to nobody about this, but outside of my wife, but there was a kid and both of us were heavyset kids in like 3rd grade. His name was Paul. He was dark skinned, and he had a bit of an older. I don't know if he had a problem, but we were friends though. We were cool, and we went on this field trip. My father was chaperoning it, and all the kids started picking on Paul, and he started crying, and then I started crying, and I was like, I don't want to sit next to Paul because people were picking on him.
Right.
And my father, he gave me a dirty look because he was sitting in the seat in front of me on the bus. He looked back at me. He's like, I'm going to talk to you later when we get home. And so, you know, the rest of the trip we did, whatever, we got home. And he was like, don't you ever do that again. He was like, if you cool with somebody and they start getting picked on, don't act like everybody else. That's still your friend, you know. And he was like, I want you to, when you see him in the school next day, you apologize to him and don't ever do that again. And I apologized to him, but Paul, he wasn't the same after that, after I did that to him, you know. But and we were young. I mean, this is third grade, and so and it hurt him really bad, and I felt really bad about it after that. But I learned a lesson about that, the following thing, because everybody on the bus was like, they was just ragging on him because he didn't have the best attire, and then he had like an odor, and so. Yeah, when I cried and I looked at him, I just said out loud, I don't want to sit next to Paul no more, you know. And it was only because people were picking.
Right.
And so I learned from that you just can't, that whole thing of like being a follower, I learned it at that moment. And then from then on, when I got to middle school and high school, I befriended people that other people just didn't befriend. And I mean, they gravitated towards me, but I would befriend people and I always give people a chance. And I never isolated or treated somebody differently because they were different. And I'm talking about special ed. I mean, people that just look different. I just got along with everybody because of that lesson. And I'm talking about people that were marginalized, people that just get cast, the outcast. I could be cool with popular people, but then be cool with the outcast too. So it was a lesson I learned young because, and it always stuck with me because I felt so bad about it, you know what I'm saying, as a kid. And you'd be amazed at the things that stick with you from childhood.
Sure, absolutely. Especially things that you do that break your own heart, like, stuff like that.
It's a very valuable lesson. So.
A lot of those.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing when you look back on it and you say, because the people that you're trying to emulate are nothing. No. They're generally like nothing. And what you really learn, and I even see now to this very day, is that insecurity and fear rule. It rules the day for most people. I mean, in every situation, man. I'm talking about from work, church, you know, families, different things. There's always a level of insecurity or just fear of being left behind or fear of not looking smart all the time, you know. And when you see that from other people, it kind of helps you maneuver in how you're going to treat them. Like you be like, okay, they're like this, so I'm going to just not be anything harsh. You know what I'm saying? And I think that helps you maneuver through life. And when people see you're secure and confident, they kind of feed off of that a little bit. It kind of helps them feel comfortable. And when you treat people in a way that they know that they're in a safe space, you know, it helps them. And you kind of really just, you know, everything rides with the tide. You know, everybody's cool because a safe space is created. You know, because I'm in many situations, man, where people feel comfortable with me, and I'm like, I don't even know your name. You know what I'm saying? You know, and so, you know, you work with girls, they be like, Alex, can you give me a ride home? I'm like, do you know me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel comfortable with me? And it's like, of course they can feel comfortable, but it's just like, they just automatically get that vibe. And it's like, I can ask them for a ride home. And I've had that happen many times. So. But
I had a period where I was in high school where I spent time focusing on making sure that I was friendly to everybody and not necessarily just dealing with just people who were at the top of that quote unquote pecking order. So I had very good friendships, and still to this day still have some of those friendships with people who were in every tier of that, you know, kind of hierarchy, you know, the school hierarchy. But I think that's important to like you said, it's super important to teach our kids, or you were saying that, to teach our kids about being able to stand for themselves, stand on their own 2 feet, think for themselves, and not go along with, because those are some of the things that can break a person for life. There are people who were bullied in elementary school who still haven't recovered. That are our ages. You know what I mean? And so I think making sure that we raise a generation of people who don't cause that kind of trauma and hurt is very important.
I agree with that 100%. It's what we normalize is what is going to succeed. You know, and letting children know that a lot of times what other people think simply is not important.
Doesn't mean anything.
Like when you plant those kind of seeds, it helps shape their mind in a way where they can kind of like critically think about, okay, this guy's picking me. What's his problem? It's not my problem. Like, what's his problem? You know, and once you start formulating those types of thoughts, that is kind of what helps shape you. You know, and then you get in these different grades. You know, you get into high school, because high school for many people can be pretty rough. You know, you get to high school, you can kind of maneuver better because you got super insecure people in high school, and everybody is like, it's like kill or be killed. You know, it's real vicious. Especially if you go to a hood high school. You are, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like you go to hood high school.
Y'all went to Finney, right?
I went to Finney.
I went to Chaz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, it's the wilderness, man. So you know
wilderness. The Wild West.
Yeah, you got to really plant your flag and state your position on how you gonna move.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, you got people that's choosing you, man, and however you respond to that is what you gonna receive.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, I just ignore people.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you try and get with me and say something slick to me, I'm like, you're an idiot, and then keep going. You know what I'm saying? And then they don't want to bother with you because you what they want to see is emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you give it to them,
Right.
then they gonna be like, oh, we got my man about to cry. You know, so it's like one of those. You know, so yeah.
So how do y'all deal with people that are like that in the workplace now as adults? Because bullying doesn't stop when you graduate high school.
Yeah.
You know, bullying can happen throughout your entire life depending on the type of environment that you work in. Or
Yeah, I haven't worked on site, man, about 4 years. So for me, I'm always like I always make a way with adding sense of humor to situations.
Got you.
I mean, that's just my personality. I don't even force it. And then if I don't talk, sometimes I'm quiet. You know, I don't say nothing. But I don't have no problem with people like that.
Gotcha.
You got people trying to boss up on you and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
you can even shut that down too.
Yeah.
You know, so
I've only had a couple experiences with it because there's one guy, there's a couple of guys, older guys, and they would butt heads a lot, but it's because maybe 5 or 10 years before I saw the other guy, like before I saw the tables turn, let's say dude A and dude B, right? So dude A was a manager first, and dude B became a manager after that. And dude A couldn't be told he could do any wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if you leave it up to him or ask him to kind of make some changes within his group or change something, he'd be quick to talk you down. And even people in his group, and I'm young in my career at this time, I didn't say nothing because he's a manager, and he's a manager over the group that's giving me work, right? So he's like, kind of two steps up from where I was, so I didn't say nothing. But I would observe in a lot of meetings, like he would talk to guys in his group, and I'm talking guys that are like older than him, that are like way past retirement age, but just love what they do, 60, 70, almost 80 years old. And this guy is maybe in his mid-40s, 50s, talking to these older guys like they're children, you know what I mean? And like shutting them down and trying to embarrass them on phone calls and everything else. Come about 5, 6 years later, and a lot of restructuring happened, and that dude wasn't a manager anymore. And one of the guys he used to talk down to a lot was in a position where he was closer to the manager that they both reported to. Let him have it, bro.
Nice.
Let him have it.
blame them.
And it all the time. And I mean, I'm talking about like severe. Dude would leave the meeting red face, embarrassed because the way he was getting talked to. But like, that's what you did to everybody else that worked for you before. You know what I mean? So he kind of had it coming.
Yeah.
When I see it now, if it's just people. Not so much bullying, but like even starting to argue, I usually like just interrupt the conversation and just stop it. You know what I mean? Because I've had a few people kind of like in arguing in meetings and not letting the other person get a word in, and I just basically, I don't go as far as like muting their lines, but I just like start talking up and like just basically say, okay, you all don't agree. We're gonna take this offline and talk about it later.
Yeah.
Because when it starts to get nasty and people starting to like kind of like just be insulting and not letting the person get a word in, it just has to stop. You're not being productive. So it's more of a show at that point. So I just try to stop it. You know, it doesn't get to, like I said, it doesn't get to bullying, but if it's that kind of back and forth and clashing like that, I just kind of stop the conversation and change topics.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's your immediate reaction though if you're on a work site, somebody attempts to talk down to you though? Be it coworker or management, what is your immediate reaction?
It depends on the level of aggression.
Yeah.
You know, if you're just so I work for people. Like I'm my own boss.
Oh yeah, right.
But when I go into a person's home, you know, I'm working for them.
Yeah.
And so I've come across people who use condescending language,
Yes.
but they aren't necessarily like aggressive, like, you know, in my face or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so in those instances, I usually I'm like, well, you know, this is not something that I'm making a career in your home. Yeah. I'm going to do this job and I'm going to get out. So I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
Right.
But then there have been times where, that makes me feel like I don't want to do that job.
Yeah.
And I'll just, you know, so I was, okay, I'm not going to say that. So I have removed myself from situations, and I'm glad that I'm in a position to have that luxury.
Yeah.
I've removed myself from workplaces that are and I'm not a sensitive guy by it. Y'all know me. I'm not a sensitive guy by any stretch of the imagination. But there comes a time where, I'm not going to work in an overly stressful work environment because I have the luxury of walking away if I want to. Yeah. And so I've done that, I think twice since I've been doing this. But when I was in a plant, or even when I was a truck driver and that's a different situation because I'm on the clock. I got to work until it's time for me to go home. I can't leave when I want. And so in those instances, there have been multiple times where I've had to address very assertively, somebody that came at me the wrong way. And to be honest, it's funny because it almost always ended in a situation where me and that person became friends afterward. Because I would assume that it's because I let them know, okay, you're not gonna respect me down here, you're gonna respect me up here where I am. And then it becomes something where, we're like, okay, now we're cool. We may not be the best of friends, but we most of those situations only happen one time for me. And then that's pretty much it for me.
But I love that though, man, because what that says is that how we conduct ourselves is how people gonna move around us. It's really how you conduct yourself. Because that's been my experience. I mean, for me, I'm in the service type of business where I do art, video work.
Okay.
And you got people asking you all kinds of stuff, man. I'm like, I don't even do that. Like the stuff I'm marketing online, do you see me do that? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, draw me a dinosaur. It's like, I don't do that, man. I'm not, but I'm very professional about it. That's the bottom line. And you get some pushback. I believe you could do it, but I mean, I'm telling you,
I probably could, but I don't do it. That's not my service.
I literally say I probably could, but the thing is that I simply don't do that. Because I've told people, I said, what you see me market online, that's exactly what I draw. I don't draw giraffes and leopards and stuff.
Landscape and all.
I don't buildings and cars. Somebody, a couple of people have wanted me to do murals.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've never marketed a mural. I don't even understand, And so I had to explain to somebody one time. Because they were like, I feel like, you're an artist, so you should just be able to do. I'm like, okay, so let me ask you this. If you got two people in sports, one plays basketball, one plays football, you going to ask the basketball player to play football? They were like, okay, I understand. It's just like, you got to break it down to people like that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but, you just really are professional with people, and then they're not going to stay down there.
Yeah.
They're going to definitely come up.
One thing that we weren't always taught is that it doesn't take you being nasty to be assertive.
I agree.
It doesn't take you. I don't have to holler and cuss and spit and fight and all of that kind of stuff in order to assert myself. Right. I can keep this exact tone that I have now.
I've done that. Yep.
And literally put somebody in their place. Yep. And I've done it many, many times.
Yep.
And then at the end of it, we back on good terms or we're not, but you understand where, the old adage where you say teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
I've taught you exactly how you're going to be able to respond to me in order to get me to cooperate with whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah. When you bought your business, man, it's no way around it. People they're not gonna mess with you.
Right.
But
it comes down to understanding how to speak the language that we speak. It comes down to understanding how to having mastery of the language that we speak. And then also not being afraid to have a little bit of controversy.
Definitely.
Because if not, you're always going to get stepped on.
I agree. And I think it's also very helpful, especially at the age we're at now, right? To have a basic understanding of human behavior. Just a basic understanding of how people... Right. And we understand if some people are insecure, people got personal problems, things like that, and somebody might want to choose you to assert themselves on because they might not be that strong at home or something. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? And so you have to say, okay, how do I want to handle this? But that's my method too, just as calm as possible, like very calm. Because I'm not a person that argues and yells and stuff, so I'll stay very calm and collected, man. And that actually kind of scares people a little bit.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
like, well, I'm going off with this guy. He's gonna stay calm. So I feel like that's how you are, man. Like you're not going to say, like you're not gonna really. Somebody had to push you like really hard to get you to like really. But if you just stay calm.
But I stay angry all the time at work. It's like I'm calm about it, but it's like I've had to really work on it. Bro, because it's been a couple of people top of the food chain where I've like wondered, am I gonna lose my job? when I come back, because it's like people want to talk down to you, and I just like I've said my piece a couple times and had to have somebody kind of stop me before I went any further, and probably wasn't the smartest thing to do. But I've learned, I've grown since then. But trying to keep it under control is still extremely difficult. But.
I know, but do you get somebody that's like, get in my office? You know what I'm saying? So like, something like it's real corny, man, but they try to talk down to you. That's good. But my thing is, dude, like if they look at you like the way you are now, they probably are not gonna mess with that guy. You know, like that calm bomb.
Yeah.
It's like a quiet storm.
But the thing is that
bald head got a sparkle.
the little fuse.
Yeah. Steve coming up.
That's funny. But bullies tend to be able to pick up on a person's weakness.
Exactly. They can exploit it.
Yeah, and so people who have a certain level of confidence and poise don't get picked on as often.
Very much.
You know what I mean?
That's very true.
Especially as adults. As kids, they're gonna try whoever.
Yeah.
But once we get to adulthood, bullies are insecure in themselves, and so that forces them to say, okay, well, I'm not gonna pick on a strong person because they'll overpower me, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, verbally, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna find somebody who is not going to force me to respect them.
Yeah.
That's basically what it boils down to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find somebody that's not gonna force me to respect them.
Yeah.
And so somebody who is perceived as confident, even whether it's quiet or not, a person that's perceived as confident usually doesn't get picked on in that way. Like, they get in my office. Right. Nobody's never going to say that to G. Yeah. Only because you portray a certain level of self-confidence. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you're quiet or the fact, because you could be talkative and still provide that same air of self-confidence. Ain't nobody going to say that to you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that you're black or whatever. It's about whether you portray weakness or whether you portray strength.
But you know, sometimes certain people want to break you though.
Yeah,
you know
that comes.
Like, you're a tough guy, eh? You know what I'm saying? And then they want to try and test you.
But see, that comes from trying to push off a tough guy image. Yeah. If you're just, I'm mild mannered, I'm humble, and I'm confident, then that, as opposed to me walking in with my. Had to forget we on the radio. I mean, on the podcast. As opposed to me walking in attempting to be extra macho or presenting as a tough guy. You know what I mean?
I'm an alpha.
Yeah, those are the guys, you know, somebody's going to choose you at some point.
Yeah.
Because it's just the same thing that they talk about in prison. You know, for your first day there, you walk up and punch the biggest guy in the face. And all that.
Man.
Yeah, exactly. To establish dominance.
Yeah, they end up like Ving Rhames and Pulp Fiction.
Right. Basically.
Alpha choosing, man. Alpha trying to choose an alpha or something, or fake alpha trying to choose an alpha.
Yeah. My thing is just I'm mild mannered I'm as mild mannered as I can be. Yeah. And I just, I try to be. I feel confident, which is so I don't have to fake confidence. I feel confident, especially when I go into a workplace. Because I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about, all that kind of stuff. So I have that confidence. And when I talk or when I move, it shows. And so I don't get,
You know, it's hard in corporate, though. I'm going to ask you this. Is it hard in corporate to not be what they think you're going to be?
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
What you mean?
The angry black man.
Yeah. Just the angry, like, we're gonna see if he.
It's a couple guys who push that button.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it's not even like a disrespectful. It's like just again like trying to talk over you and trying to sound like they're angry with something. And I don't reciprocate it.
Right.
But I cut it off. I don't let them finish their sentence a lot of times, which is I usually don't do. Yeah. But if you start talking slick to me, I'll cut it off real quick. Like nope, and I'll tell them why they're wrong and go about establishing my points. And if you want to go on and say something else about it or go on to the next point or whatever, but this is where it is. Are you done with it? You know what I mean? And cut it like that. So I get that. Yeah. I get that. I'm not gonna say that reputation. But I've been told I speak passionately about some things, you know what I mean? And I know that's cold.
Yeah,
you know
it's cold.
I know
that's
it's cold for you kind of getting worked up a little bit or whatever, but I try not to do it too much. Relax. Yeah, just because it takes me a lot. I have a bad temper, so it takes me a lot to get to that point. Right. So I feel like I kind of have a good handle on not letting too many people push my buttons like that, but it's been a couple. Yeah. It's been a couple. Yeah.
Because it's like, I just feel like we got to move in a way where you don't want to give them that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them to make you like,
And that's what makes me upset if I get to that point. I'll let somebody push me there,
Yeah, because it's about you more than it is about
for
them.
sure.
And once I realized that, my rage monster has been in a tight little jar and tucked away.
Yeah.
Once I realized that me expressing rage or violence has nothing to do with me asserting dominance over that person.
Right.
It's about me losing control over myself.
Exactly.
And so, like you said, that's the part that got me to the point where, okay, the rage monster got to go back in the closet and stay there for good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not a good feeling when you got to let that come out like that.
Yeah.
Because you ain't trying to get like, you ain't trying to be like that. And then you got to come back down from that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
But
was
you can't come down too quick because you still got to show like,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody else wants some. You know what I mean?
Right.
I went off on a customer before.
Wow.
Volkswagen. Yeah, we were at a plant level. It's free game.
Yeah.
Facts.
We at the plant. When you at the plant,
It don't even matter.
It don't matter who you are. You can just go
Right.
Yeah, and I went off on him, man. He went in. He came in and tried to strong arm me, man. And, man, I stood my ground, man. I went
You got
off on him,
physical
man.
or just
No,
verbal?
man. He tried to embarrass me
With an
in front
uppercut?
of people that was under me or whatnot, like the guys that was under me and whatnot. I went back at him, man.
That's how you do it.
I was like, "Don't ever talk to me like that." I said, "Get out of here." You know what I'm saying?
Did you stand up and walk up to him and look down on him like
But after I did that, like
Right.
you said, you have respect after that.
Yeah.
He understood because the first time I met him, we was at a meeting, and I met him. He was sitting across from me, and I was on my laptop. I had my program manager next to me, right? And I was greeting him and doing something, answering a quick email that he sent or something like that. He said, "Look at me when I'm talking to you like that." I was like,
What do you
right
look like?
then, huh?
What do you look
He
like?
was an Indian dude.
Oh, okay.
And it was so sad. It's like
sloppy like that?
certain Indians, man. But we actually end up being real cool afterwards. I think after that one, when we was at it, man. He actually was cool. We actually had a real good respect for
I gotta
each
learn
other.
more from y'all on that because once I get to that point with somebody, it's hard for me
Well-
to come back, bro.
But see,
The
thing,
The thing
I'm gonna
is,
address that in 1 second.
the thing is like that's happened to me actually a couple of times where I would say the respect that happened, for one thing, is your customer, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you got to keep your customer happy, which
I know it.
but then I had to get over myself. It's when that level, the professionalism have to override all of your feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And realize, okay, I don't want to lose business because of my emotions. You see what I'm saying? I want to make sure that we have everything lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. Like when it comes to the program, to the customer satisfaction, his expectations, and everything. So after a while, you got to get over that. It was hard for me, man. That messed me up for a while psychologically. When he said, "Cole," he said, "Look in my eyes when I'm talking to you." Oh man, dude, to this day. And Jason Schmidt, the program manager, man, he was like, "I can't believe that just happened." Right? He was shook.
Wow.
He was shook next to me. And I think what it was is I was new. I was new on the program, and he was trying to the same thing. He was exactly, and that psychologically did something to me, man.
The guys who have to do that tell you that they don't have it though.
Yeah,
That's the point. It's like anybody that has to go to that extreme to get somebody to feel under their boot.
yeah.
That's because you're weak. You know what I mean? It's because you need to feel like you're on top of the world. You need to feel like you over somebody. And I never believe it. I always look at the person after that because that's the people that I've gotten into it with at work. It's been that. It's like you're higher up in management. You think you can just say something to me because you're higher up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's when I have to like really catch myself, and I show it because I'll get like real short after that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep
too.
professional,
I'm the same
trying to
way.
not let my anger show through. I get real short, and that's when everybody knows. Like when I start getting real short, people start calling me after that, like, "Are you okay?" Whatever. But it's like that's the thing. It's like triggers me. It's like when you're talking like that to somebody that you know is 2 or 3 levels underneath you, just because you're trying to show you a big dog. It's like I don't respect you after that.
Yeah.
I don't respect you at all after that. You know what I mean?
So I think one of the fundamental differences is we're talking about plant level or just grunt level versus corporate level.
Yeah.
Still
Because-
grunts, but yeah, we still grunts, but yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like yours, have a little bit more agency to speak your mind a little bit more versus, you could be let go for next to nothing, which sucks. But one thing that I know about you is that even though the rage monster is there just behind the curtain, it's you're long suffering though. In terms of your upfront presentation of who you are, you're long suffering versus just like, oh, you want to talk crazy? Well, here's the rage monster. And so what I've learned, for me personally, this may not be a universal truth, but for me personally, what I've learned is that the quicker I can address and nip it in the bud, so to speak, the easier it is for me to be able to, number one, maintain at least some semblance of respect for that person. And number two, be able to reestablish some sort of at least friendliness, maybe not a friendship, but at least some sort of mutual respect, being civil. Right.
And see, that's the thing. It's like, I think with the 3 or 4 names I can think of right now.
5.
Yeah, honestly,
20. It's gonna keep going up.
It's 5. It's 3 that if I saw them in the street, it would probably take a lot for me to not walk up to them and punch them in the face. But they're so much higher up in leadership. I can't. There's no opportunity for me to go back to them and interact with them on a regular basis to form any kind of bond or any possibility of a friendship. These are people who are probably getting paid 4 or 5 times more than I am. You know what I mean? And they're in these global calls and just, kind of say whatever. And it's like I said, I've gotten talked to a couple times, feel like you shouldn't have said that. But I can't look at somebody like, okay, you get paid more than me, so I got to treat you like you a god. I can't look at anybody. It's not in me. It's not in me. I don't care what level you are. I'm going to talk to you like you're a human because that's what you are. You have a higher position than I am. You got a better paying job. That's fine. But you're not going to talk to me like I'm not a human. And I'm not going to treat you like you're something that just... like you're just walking on gold rose petals, right? You know what I mean? It's not in me to do.
I've always felt that way because it's like we in the office, but when we out there,
telling you, bro,
it's just we just 2 people. So But let me ask y'all this though. So as men, do you ever have a time where you feel safe showing emotion?
Most of the time, for me personally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I'm talking about like if you gotta like. Now, I'm not talking about anger emotion. I'm talking about like you gotta cry.
I don't know. I don't find it to be necessarily all that difficult. Now, I will say this: I don't find very many opportunities that make me feel like I need to cry.
Right.
But in the times where I feel like I need to cry, whether it be from grief or even joy or whatever, I usually. I try for a little while to hold it, but a lot of times the floodgates, just come on out. I don't spend much time expressing that type of emotion. I mean, I'm emotional all the time because I laugh constantly. That's an emotion. I have my times where I'm moody or angry or whatever. So I'm constantly experiencing an outward show of emotion. But in terms of just crying, it's very rare. But I don't feel like I have to keep a lid on it just because I'm a guy. You know what I mean? Because I most of the time, if anybody has seen me cry, definitely more than y'all two have, but most of the time it's in a safe space. And then when I get back out in the public, I'm still me. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I find that the most secure of us, like I'm a very secure man. The most secure of us can be emotional.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's why. Because if you're a dude that cannot show any emotion, you're very stoic, then that's not even healthy. You know what I'm saying? So if you gotta, let loose, and I'm not talking about like.
I looked over at Mike because I knew Mike was looking over at me when you said that. But no,
I purposely did that.
I feel like with G, if he get mad at work, they'll have a meeting, like a corporate meeting. Okay, Gary Gant's mad. So how do we play this out?
All right.
Yeah, that's how
they start playing opera music.
They try to write it down like a whiteboard. Okay, Gary's mad. How do we handle it? Let's spitball. Let's get some ideas going.
Here's where we are. Here's where we want to be.
So what about you guys? Like, how do y'all handle emotional? So I'm not even talking about rage. I'm talking about more so just emotions.
I was telling Mike a couple of weeks ago too. Like, Ever since our grandmother passed, man, losing people,
Yeah.
I break down easy.
Yeah.
After like somebody's death or losing somebody like that.
Yeah.
I don't try to hide it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because if it's something like that, it just
Can't,
flows.
man.
But I've noticed like I said, since she's passed, like for some, I don't know, something broke. But it's like I even sometimes watching other people lose somebody,
Yeah.
it'll do something to me. You know what I mean? It's like before I never felt that.
Yeah.
I never could relate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like after that one, something broke. So
Yeah, man.
I don't have a problem showing it. Like I said, if it's just because if I feel like if I'm feeling that it's serious and it's genuine, I don't get emotional or fragile about stuff easily. You know what I'm saying?
Because once I'm to that point, then it must be something that I need to get out. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, same thing, man. I think you got to really. I think it's healthy, man. Yeah. I think because it's built up, bottled up, man, it's going to come out at the wrong time. Yeah. And I think that in some cases you should let it flow. Not like all the time.
Get together, grabbing people together, man. I'm like, get it together. I got like that.
We slap them.
Yeah, get it together. Oh my god. Yeah, we can control ourselves.
Yeah.
But see, this lets you know that we all came out of good homes. We didn't come out of toxic homes where we were made to feel ashamed to be crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's some dudes came out of homes where their dad or uncle was like, you better stop being a snitch now. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like,
I mean, I heard that, but it wasn't too much.
Yeah. It was a gentle.
Right.
I do that to my boys. My boys sometimes.
It's got to be a balance.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to be balanced. I
my
feel
son
like,
do the same.
and it's like, and I kind of think like, okay, they're still young. I'm trying to not be as hard on them as I was my friends.
Right.
Because I wasn't a bully, but I did. Like I said, I treated people a way I regret sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't lenient with them. I tried to make other people into something that they weren't too, and it wasn't the right way to go. So it's like I try to be somewhat understanding. They're younger, they're still adolescent, you know what I'm saying? They're growing, and they haven't, I've maybe probably shielded them too much sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But when I see them kind of like breaking down over something, it's like, okay, I understand. Sometimes it's okay, but this, what you're doing right now, that's not it. That's not going to work, you know what I'm saying?
It's just funny to see G. It's funny to see G maneuver it, though, man. Because it's hard, because the kid is still scared, right? Still want to cry anyway.
That's why I be trying.
I do the same thing with, when I tell my sons, I'm like, are you done?
Right.
I just get it out now.
Same thing.
Get it out. Get it out.
Right.
Okay, are you done?
Right.
Okay, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
You know. That's good. That's a good way to do
it. Are you done? I had to tell my oldest that. The same thing, man. You know, he was like, okay, get it out.
Come talk to me when you're done. That's what I say. Come talk to me when you finish. I don't want to sit there and look at you bawling and sniveling. Come talk to me when you finish.
That chick is hard, man. It's hard to see your son, like if you have a son and they cry and don't nothing come out, they just be like, it's like,
worst,
stop.
man.
You be like, stop it, man.
Right.
It makes you angry.
It does make me angry.
Yeah, man.
One thing we got to remember is that this generation is very different than ours.
The generation is different, but the world is not any less harsh, though. That's
No,
what I'm
it's
trying
not.
to find
That's
out.
your
No, it's
point.
not.
You know what I'm saying?
But the world is making it the society, not the world. Society is making it seem as if things are much easier. You
I know.
It's impossible to disagree with anybody because then you get canceled, or it's impossible to say anything about.
About to get it canceled.
That's literally what I'm thinking. Okay, so Lizzo, the rapper, the female rapper Lizzo, was doing like lingerie stuff and dressing like. So it's a problem for anybody to say I'm not attracted to that. It's a problem to say that because then you're shaming or blah blah blah. So society is saying or making it seem as if everybody has to be in full smiles, everybody has to be in full agreement, everybody has to think the exact same way, and that's not the way the world in reality actually is.
Right.
And so, for children growing up in the ages that your kids are, they can't help but because they gotta go to school, they have to be around other people. They're not just in your house learning from you how the real world is. They're learning the fake world from fake teachers and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, not saying that school is bad. But I'm saying that they get this idea that fragility is acceptable and normal when it's really not. Either of those things. You know what I mean?
It's not at all.
And so it's incumbent upon, especially the men who are the leaders of the household in households with both parents.
I'm glad you said that, man, because men are being demonized nowadays.
Sure, absolutely.
Masculinity is being demonized.
Yeah.
In the very moment that you try to teach masculinity, is getting shot down so quick.
Right.
And the thing is, it's like, and I'm no male chauvinist, but it's very important for men to be men.
I agree. I stand in
I'm
agreement.
only laughing. I'm only laughing because like that's like somebody saying I'm not a racist, but
right. Look.
Usually means some shoulders about to come out.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but what I just said, people would immediately put me in that category,
Absolutely.
right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not far from it. You can choose whatever you want to do, right? But do you understand the results that's going to come back and the consequences that's going to come afterwards, right? So the very moment you got who's the commissioner of NBA now? I hardly even watch NBA because it's terrible nowadays. Silver, right? Is it Adam Silver? Now he's had something about, because so many people are fainting because of their heart. Now he's reducing the time or something along the line, right? Yeah. For athletes playing, and I'm thinking to myself like, how is anybody going to get stronger? Right. You see what I'm saying? If you don't allow and press, everyone have different limits and different limitations. Yeah. So if you standardize everything across the board, how do people reach the potential? If anything that makes me cry is when I know someone died that didn't meet their potential. My brother Rob Anderson, man, that broke me down. When that brother died, man, that broke me down. I couldn't even watch the video. And the reason why I cried, because the brother has so much potential, but he started thinking a different type of way. And I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? That's what happens to many of us when we start getting into a way of thinking in societies driven or driving our young into a point of weakness, fragility, man, and it's going to just break. It's going to break. It's going to fold, man. Society's going to fold on itself, man.
Another thing I think I struggle with too, I'm not sure if you face or feel the same thing, but it's like with the way our generation came up, and probably just the path of myself, growing up too early, you know what I'm saying? And having a harsh outlook on the world or on things. It's like part of me when they're fragile like that, I'm struggling with how much do I let them know what the world is really like, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to letting them try to enjoy their childhood for as long as they can. And that's another thing that kind of keeps it tame a little bit, you know what I mean? Because like I don't want to tell them. And I shared with y'all before, I had to tell my youngest son, like, stop saying hi to everybody that you walk by. You know what I mean? And he just want to be a friendly kid, you know, and wants to see that reciprocated. And when people don't, it breaks them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm like, okay, I don't want you to not be kind to people.
Right.
But how do I kind of meet in the middle of, you're going to get broken down if you expect everybody to be kind back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's just trying to find that balance of, letting them. I want them to be able to be children as long as they can, as long as it's reasonable, you know what I'm saying, and not make them grow up too fast and not make them look at the world the same way I do either, you know what I'm saying? So it's just trying to find that balance.
I think like that's a good point, man. I was actually talking to Tamara about taking my children over to my old neighborhood. I want to drive them over there. I want them to see, because a lot of times, man, kids when they're tossed into a certain world, they don't know how to handle it. It's like a deer seeing headlights, right? If we don't we have to condition our children. You have to condition your goddaughter, right? You know what I'm saying? You have to do that. And whoever you around or whatnot, you have to condition them for that, because this world, once they get a hold of them, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So if we condition them, start talking them sex early, start talking about all this kind of stuff early. Just let them know. You know what I'm saying?
Don't beat around the bush like our
man.
Like was done to us by
certain
leaders or whatever.
Man, I learned about sex and Playboy magazines, pornography by friends, man. Like immediately, like 8 years old, 9 years old.
But it's happening much younger now.
So
because everybody's got technology,
got phones.
That's why I've had to do the same thing. I had to have these conversations with them that I don't feel like I should be having to have with them at that age. But they're going to hear it somewhere else. I'd rather hear it from me and hear it honestly from me. You know what I mean? So I've had to have some very vulnerable and exposing conversations. You know, they've asked me some questions about things. I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
But, you know, honestly, yeah, you know, but if they're asking the question, they've heard about it, they're curious.